We're live.
Perfect.
Thank you for all being here today. As this meeting is held via Zoom, we thank everybody for their patience. All members of the public will have a chance to address the board during public comment. In terms of process of this meeting, each board member will be called on individually to speak during each item. Board members are asked to please state their name before speaking, making a motion, etc. All board members must say pass if they do not have a comment on that item. All votes will be taken by roll call vote, meaning our secretary, Amy, will call each board member's name and will indicate their vote as a aye or no on each item.
Perfect. Okay, all. Well, as this is a subcommittee meeting, I have noted your attendance, so I think that we're all set with that. And at this time, I would ask that there be a motion to approve the agenda. I do not have any changes to the agenda today.
So moved. That's from Megan Allen.
All right. And is there a second?
Second, Adriankis.
Perfect. Okay. And I will take roll call. And Clark and Hackney, since you're here, you get to vote. So, all right. So Yonkis.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hackney.
Aye.
Perfect. The motion carries. Next for you is consideration to limit the public comment period to 2 minutes. I think that we've all probably done quite a few Zoom meetings lately, but if you're unfamiliar, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that we're holding this via Zoom, it is the recommendation of the City Attorney's Office that boards and commissions limit public comment to 2 minutes per individual. So I am seeking a motion for that as well.
Holland, so moved.
Acting
Second,
support.
Audrey.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. We will do a roll call vote on that then. Yonkis.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hackney.
Aye.
And just so you know, Ms. Yonkis, there is no one on joining us via public comment period, but we still need to officially open it up for public comment period.
All right, we will now move on to public comment. Each caller in the queue will have 2 minutes to address the board. Callers will be identified by the last 3 digits of their phone number. When called on, you will be unmuted. At the end of 2 minutes, the secretary will share that the 2 minutes has passed and they will be placed back on mute. If you do not wish to speak, please indicate by saying pass. The following is not a requirement, but it does help the clerk if you choose to speak. Please clearly state your name before addressing the board.
Okay. And we have no one that is present to call in, but if any board members or committee members wanted to discuss anything that's not on the agenda, now would be the appropriate time. Okay. I think we can move on from public comment then. Okay, all. So this was a pretty hefty subcommittee packet. I recognize that. So thanks for your patience. I really wanted to begin with giving you kind of an overview of where we are at financially. The good news is that we just started our fiscal year, so we're in good stead, which is always nice to know that we have money. So essentially, this is what I kind of wanted to draw to everybody's attention. So the Downtown Management Board at the beginning of last fiscal year, they had about $2,000 in their savings account, if you will, and then they spent down the balance. At the very end of the fiscal year, the Downtown Development Authority gave the Downtown Management Board $20,000 to support activities during COVID. And there were, at that time, things shifted a little bit, but there was discussion of like some live entertainment events. There was discussion of business support by, providing them with tables and slip covers so people could put things outside of their place of business, and perhaps like a welcome back event and things of that activity. What kind of ideated after further discussion and frankly after the city manager's office determined that it would probably be best to not do live events downtown is we ended up doing some temporary art installations in the downtown. And we also worked really hard to work with the businesses, and we worked with MSU on a Together We Will Stay Safe to Stay Open campaign. I think most of you are probably familiar with it. If you are not, I encourage you to check it out. But basically it's Sparty and it's lots of different messaging that we provided to the businesses. So we got things like flyers and, sticker decals and anything could be helpful to the businesses so that maybe instead of that shop owner or restaurant owner having to say, hey, where's your mask? Maybe it's just kind of that first visual reminder for people that might be helpful. So as the new fiscal year started, essentially we have spent, give or take, $5,000 of the $20,000 allocated by the DDA. And you can kind of see on this second page, we did some other like temporary creative things like flip-flop stencils and some art and things of that nature. But I essentially figure that you have about $15,000 remaining of that $20,000 pot from the DDA. The DMB has been really considering the best uses of the remaining funds. And I don't want to speak for DMB members, but at the last board meeting and now at the last subcommittee meeting, I think that they just really want to be conscientious of how they're spending the funds so that the businesses really feel like they're being supported. So kind of given all that, I also kind of wanted to just point out the fact that they've really just started our fiscal year. So really what's happening is, if you can see on here, we're really running on a budget of $76,000. So, we have lots of events and activities, that we can work through or talk about, but, we do have cash on hand that I think from a staff perspective, we feel it's important to start spending down so that, we're continuing to constantly show the downtown business community that we are invested in, trying to work with them. So kind of saying all that, sorry, Luke, did you have something to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So kind of saying all that, I sort of wanted to walk through with everybody. So I'm moving my browser around. I thought I would start with just a quick overview of where we have been and what we've done so far. So this really relates to all elements of the city, right? But since COVID really hit, between parking incentives, grace periods, some grant programming that was provided by the DDA, financial assistance, the open air dining area, we've really invested $679,146. So, I mean, certainly we're pretty proud of that. As you can imagine, between all the various financial resources, we've really tried to support. Now, obviously not everybody's received support, but we've certainly been trying to. And if they didn't receive direct financial support, one thing that we did was, we did provide them with relief so that they were not having to pay for a business license this year. So hopefully through things of that nature, through like restaurant license fees and things of that, that's going to be something, certainly. And so now, knowing that we've sort of launched a successful campaign, we've tried to be conscientious of getting education and sort of health elements down there. We've really been trying to research, what's next and what might works best. So that's really why I included within your packet materials a couple of slides and then some literature. I know we're not in college anymore, so all of us are not necessarily quite as eager to read all of the detailed reports, but a couple of these slides really talk a lot about what at a nationwide level, economic developers have been observing. And a lot of what we have seen, which I don't think is probably a shock to anybody, is that there's a surge in e-commerce. There's a preference for people to kind of purchase what they know or like work with those shop owners that they know or those restaurants. That people are actually trying to support stores and businesses closer to home. Probably because, maybe they feel safer there. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but that's kind of an issue. And, obviously the remote working is way up. So I think that those are, some sort of faceted things to kind of keep in mind. Obviously from strictly like a downtown management board staff perspective, it's our goal to try to have people come down here, have them feel safe, and continue to sort of be a main supportive system for businesses and saying, dear businesses, this is what we're trying to do for you. And, dear customers, this is what we're trying to do for you, and really trying to, tackle it from sort of a holistic perspective. So I don't know if anybody wants to kind of talk about any of that in a little bit more detail, but that's really what the literature is sort of suggesting right now, that, they're really calling on businesses to, get creative to educate their customers on how they're keeping people safe, utilizing those social media components, having a strong, online presence, and really a presence, I guess I would say, throughout the community. What else have we been doing lately? Well, I'm glad you asked. So Luke and Kristen are here because we've really also been trying to gather hard data from the businesses on what's been going on lately. So we have a survey. I think it is about 20 or so questions long. And we are really trying to go door to door and take the time to go door to door to businesses and say, okay, where are you at? So since COVID has hit, for example, have you implemented curbside service, or is that something you offered before? Have you been, have you enhanced like your internet capabilities? Do you now do like free delivery or, like waive shipping fees or whatever might appeal to people, so that we have that data collection so that we can certainly like continue to promote that in the downtown, right? And kind of be able to say, we have a ton of businesses that are trying to really work with you and keep you safe. So we've done some pretty good work, because in 1 week we've gone from 3 businesses that we've, continued to harass to 22. So good job, Luke and Kristen, good job. And I just triple checked a minute ago and we are still at 22. I will say this, we are working with an intern, and myself will try to go out more next week and really try to get this. But because it's a little bit more of a comprehensive survey, I think that Adam and I are both feeling that kind of trying to go in person is a little bit better route than trying to send the SurveyMonkey link all the time. We just don't, we've tried that once already with this survey, and we just didn't get the feedback that we were hoping for. And the other thing is, people skip questions, things like that. So we think that maybe trying to, I know it's a lot of manpower, but trying to go out and try to get this cohesive information and data is important. And the other thing is, Adam did a presentation before City Council this past Tuesday, or I'm sorry, it was Monday. We had a Monday meeting, and they were also asking, like, how's it going out there? What are the businesses kind of asking for, and what do they need? So I think that hopefully through, data responses and through the literature and, through various campaigns that we might continue to try to, promote, obviously, support and economic development growth. Adam, do you have anything to add to that? I know I was kind of flying through stuff there, but.
No, I think you did an excellent job kind of summarizing what we're trying to accomplish here and the efforts that we're undergoing. It's kind of twofold. We have this survey, and then, we were hand delivering the business marketing toolkits. No. And when we're doing that, we're also collecting other data that Amy touched on, such as like changes in operations since COVID, updated contact information. So now, right now, we're trying to figure out some of our capacity regarding technology to, supply the interns with tablets or something to be able to go out there and really do a comprehensive job on their own and have it all the data in one place instead of being siloed. So we hope to get that figured out by early next week. So we can just continue to plug away.
Yeah. So I think at this point, what we've kind of talked a lot about is, and we're really seeking your feedback on today, is sort of this approach about perhaps launching a campaign that would sort of include the elements of like marketing the safe behaviors and continuing to do that, probably on social and webpage, perhaps implementing a text messaging service. So we have several hundred people enrolled in like a construction text messaging updates. Probably all of us got those. It was like the East Lansing Buzz. Maybe shifting focus from that, where they could still obviously, receive construction updates if they are necessary, but also kind of let them know, hey, we're shifting to more of a marketing focus as well. And, like don't unsubscribe because you guys are gonna, get access to some, some whatever that might be, like, services or coupons or things of that nature. And then really hopefully revamping. So we have the downtownyale.com that's owned by the DMV, and we have the East Lansing Buzz, and maybe redirecting some of those resources so that maybe there could be, like I talked about before, sort of like how East Lansing is ensuring safety for the patrons. And then, maybe it's like, maybe that's a tab, like, for visitors and patrons. And then we kind of list some things about like, safe practices. And, there's over 100 businesses, for example, that are, offering curbside and expanded delivery, things like that. And then, really for the businesses, we have a webpage for them right now, but maybe honing in a little bit more and saying like, these are all the business resources, like these are the direct links at the state level, at the regional level, you know, when grant opportunities are hit, you know, constantly go here. During COVID, we did try to update them. I think we sent over like 50 emails out about those opportunities, but maybe, you know, having it become like a one-stop shop that they know like, oh yeah, I heard something, what's going on? You know, and maybe try to funnel information right there. So I think we're really just seeking some initial feedback on, does this, you know, we're hoping, does it sound like a decent game plan? Are there other things you think we should be considering? You know, we recognize that this is going to probably be an undertaking, probably close to $10,000 or so. So I think that, you know, obviously the next step would be to kind of pitch this to the board as a whole and talk it there, but we'd be very interested in any feedback you guys have at the committee level.
And I just want to add, kind of build on what Amy has already touched on, is we're really looking to have a very comprehensive, holistic approach to this marketing. You know, I think maybe I didn't communicate very well what was in my head a few times, but I don't want to go away from downtime, daytime, nighttime, anytime. You know, I want that to be the symbol, the brand. However, we need a very strong marketing arm right now. And it's not just marketing events. It is marketing all things downtown business support. And that means to stay safe, to stay open campaign. That means when we launch a curbside pickup program to really promote and market those activities, the open air dining, and then, you know, having social media campaigns integrated into that, you know, a stay safe challenge, meaning like maybe there's social media campaign where we solicit photos of patrons, customers shopping and dining downtown in a safe way so that we can promote, hey, we're open for business. This business is implementing all these measures. They're staying open, that we're trying to keep you safe. And just really market the public health and safety aspect, incorporate that public health and safety aspect into all things business downtown. Because if you read the data, I can't find an article that contradicts what any of the examples we've provided, but all the data is saying, if you want to, the most sustainable economic recovery strategy right now is public health and safety. Customers, consumers, patrons, they want to not only feel safe, but they want to be safer. And, you know, the more we can promote and encourage safe behaviors, the more likely we're going to increase the public health and safety of those customers and patrons. And that's going to continue to draw people in. But we don't want to totally shift away from all the other, you know, the events, some of the other ideas. It's just integrating that public health and safety aspect into all the things we want to achieve already, if that makes sense. And please, if it doesn't, ask away. I'll try to clarify. Megan, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry about that. No,
Yeah, no
I
worries.
think that's the most important thing to be emphasized because, you know, it's a college town, and I do think that a lot of the residents are perhaps uptight about going downtown and coming into contact with groups of students who may not be wearing masks, or, you know, they have that invincible feeling. And also, you know, I hate to bring up Harper's, but it has become kind of the face of downtown East Lansing outside of East Lansing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so to get people from other towns, surrounding towns, to come into East Lansing, I just think the safety aspect is what really needs to be played up at all points. So Adam,
I'm glad to hear that. I 100% agree. And what we're trying to avoid and try to correct is stuff like the Harpers and, you know, other maybe articles that have been released recently about downtown not being a safe environment if you're not, you know, not under a certain age or whatever. We're really we are doing everything we can to promote and encourage the behaviors recommended by public health officials. And we got to continue as a team, as a collective effort to do so. Because if we just leave it alone, like it's not, it's not an important aspect, to your point, people are just going to have that Harper's image of East Lansing in their head. And so we got to reassure them, not by just promoting and marketing these things, but actually implementing these measures. And that's why the Stay Safe to Stay Open campaign, all that signage, it's not just, storytelling. We're really trying to promote and encourage those behaviors to create a safer environment. The open air dining, I think what I may have failed on in that aspect is not having people connect the dots. Like that was a public health and safety program. Like we implemented that program to keep people safe, to get them out of the indoors and provide a safer environment outside, while at the same time trying to stimulate the local economy, keep those revenues for our local businesses. And I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but yes.
I go off on tangents easily, Adam. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the increase in survey responses is definitely from, because I just was getting started, and every time I sat down to do it, I realized it was a meal time, and I have a lot of restaurants on my list. I'm like, yeah, you don't call during a busy time. So, but I was kind of disheartened, and it kind of was a gut punch at the number of messages that I got that were like, we're closed now, or we look forward to serving you at some time in the future, but we don't know when that will be. And a couple wrong, a couple disconnected numbers. I'm like, this is really happening. So it was, I can see how critical this is right now.
I don't want to jump ahead too much, but that does bring up the point. I noticed in the ad for the City Pulse, it said over 100 businesses downtown. And I thought, are we overselling that number? That sounds like, number one, a lot to me. And are they all open? Because if we're overselling, and you just never obviously want to do that.
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So we actually have 192 businesses downtown.
I'm shocked. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I confirmed we have 100 right now that are open, if that makes sense. And the vast majority of the restaurants are, because I assumed you guys were going to ask me that question. So I wanted to feel comfortable about it. We probably might have more than that, but I recognize that some people are working virtually, right? Some of that is office users, service providers, places at the Technology Innovation Center, places that are like at the Marriott that are services. But between restaurants, we have like 55 restaurants downtown. Actually, the vast majority of them have now reopened. And Kristen, maybe you're going to feel better. I've actually seen 5 of them reopen this week. So as the students have come back, that's slowly coming back a little bit. But that's how we got to that number. And I'm totally fine. I'm not at all offended if we decide to change that. But I was, frankly, as staff, I was just kind of trying to make it like, there's people, we're down here. We can be vibrant. So that's why.
And one more thing that Amy kind of touched on is, we really strongly feel like in order to execute what we're talking about, if people are on board with this approach, professional services are going to be needed. Just the capacity here at the staff level, we're going to need that help, but just the expertise on how to execute a successful marketing campaign to this magnitude, I strongly believe professional services will be needed.
At the last marketing meeting last Tuesday, they had sort of suggested that also. So I am in the process of, and Adam, are in the process of sort of generating some quotes from some public relations firms. And, we're going to save a little bit if we, for example, keep our web pages, but, maybe do like a little bit of an overhaul and stuff. But I personally agree. But we know that that's going to be costly, right? We know that that's going to be $10,000. And that's frankly kind of one of the reasons I want everybody to sort of see the budget and where we're at. Because I think as a staff level, we feel pretty comfortable with this, about a $10,000 campaign right now. But I don't want to misrepresent this committee. So you know, if everybody sort of got this initial buy-in, then I'd like to sort of share that with the board next Tuesday during the board meeting. Sort of, I'm kind of seeing a lot of head nods that people are feeling okay with this so far. Okay. Okay, great. And then we can really talk about it at the board level.
If I can ask a couple questions, because I'm
Yeah.
actually, because I haven't had a computer all day, I'm kind of just looking at this agenda now. Can someone on staff catch me up to speed a little bit? So there was some sort of city pulse campaign at some point, or ad campaign in general?
No,
or?
so
Okay.
the city pulse stuff, just so you know, Luke, is we haven't basically they called staff a week ago and they
Sure.
said, dearest staff, we're going to do an entirely East Lansing focused city pulse, or we're going to do a cover page focus on East Lansing and try to promote the downtown business district because we're trying to support EL because, you know, MSU is pretty much going remotely. And so they came to me, and of course they told me, I think they came to me, I think it was like last Thursday or Friday. So it was after the marketing meeting, so I couldn't, you know, run it by them. And so I basically said, okay, I have business relations on Friday, you know, let me mock something up. Let me see if at a subcommittee level, they'd like to try to invest, because they would need artwork by, you know, next Tuesday morning, so before the board meeting. So that's really where the city pulse element came in. Of normally this is something I would take to marketing, but because it was so quick and they made this decision so quickly, I said, let me talk it out, you know, with business relations and see. So that deal, I mean, I'm happy we can skip around on the agenda if people would like. So that is basically they're giving us half off if we would like to place an ad for Wednesday's edition. So today's Friday. They're talking next Wednesday. So that's what, I don't know if you're familiar with Lee Purdy, the sales rep. You might be, Luke, but that's
A little bit, yeah, just by name mostly.
Yeah. So Audrey and I were talking. I don't know if you were approached, Luke. Supposedly he told me he was going to try to approach downtown East Lansing businesses about also advertising. I don't know what
I believe he did. Yeah.
But so I don't have any statistics about how many other people are advertising in it. You know, I basically just worked with him and said, you know, like, would you have this size available? Because I was trying to get us the best bang for our buck for $500 or less. So I think for your consideration now, if everybody's just kind of wanting to move on, that's fine with me. So essentially what you have is, it would be like a third of a page ad, and our graphic designer worked up some different mock-ups. Again, because if you liked it, our graphic designer only works Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So again, I was trying to be proactive so that if we wanted to edit anything, we could before we send it off. This one is blue. Obviously, you know, kind of playing off of the skyline. There's a couple of different ones. And the verbiage just says, our first priority remains the safety and well-being of our customers and employees. With over 100 businesses offering curbside delivery, shipping, and open business hours, there's something for everyone in downtown EL. So we decided as staff right now to maybe steer away from Together We Will and make this sort of like more of a personal message. The rationale being that because the city pulse is going to be focused on East Lansing, we would try to, you know, kind of make it our own. And then this is green. This is like a teal color. So that obviously more closely aligns with our general logo that people are familiar with. So I don't know if anybody has strong, I know there's quite a few. We have an avid graphic designer. So if you decided that you wanted to do one of these, it would be $494. So I think it's really up to the committee of if you think that this would be a good investment. We would take it out of the contract services marketing line item of the budget, and you currently have $28,000 in that line item. So I think it's really a discussion about, do you guys think that this is financially worth your while? And do you like the idea of it being in City Pulse? And if so, then it would be a motion from one of you about, you know, I obviously need a vote of approval for it. Ms. Yonkus. Audrey, I can't hear you. You're kind of low. Could you guys hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. So I'm like kind of undecided. I'd like to hear other people's opinions on actually doing it with City Pulse. I don't like the clock tower. I just feel like that doesn't really say anything at all about downtown. It's just kind of, it feels a little half thought doing the clock tower.
Yeah. Do you think you'd want a picture with people?
That's my opinion on it.
People with like we've done shots before with people with backpacks or something.
I don't-
you know what I mean, like walking.
Maybe like something, I don't know. I just feel like this is just not something that would draw me downtown by any means. I don't know. It doesn't really, I don't know. What do you guys think about the clock tower?
Well, we're trying
I'd like to see it different.
Yeah, we're trying to emphasize the safety aspect. I mean, we're seeing these, you know, there's already a bunch of stock photos out there, and I'm sure we could get some from actual downtown East Lansing, but I do wonder if we should have a photo of people in masks
Okay.
showing that they're complying. Whether it's
I
just
agree,
the store
but
owner
maybe
behind the
social
checkout
people
desk.
are social distancing.
Well, that's kind of hard in a photo, but I mean, even just a simple photo of somebody at a checkout counter wearing a mask and waiting on somebody who's wearing a mask, you know, or just keep it really simple.
Or mom and kid, or, you know, parents and children, something like
Right.
that. I don't know. I just rather see more of like a community feel than monument.
Yeah, I think that's good input.
I do too.
And I only brought up the social distancing because I got dinged that, you know, there was a photo floating around of the ambassador tent. You know, they weren't quite 6 feet away, the people in the photo.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ingham County Health Department gave me a call and said, hey, let's ensure that. I'm like, absolutely, 100%.
So maybe
Got it.
checkout counter, maybe people downtown with masks. That's what I'm hearing. Okay.
Luke Hackney, I just a few comments before this goes further. Just I guess the first thing I'll say is I don't think I should vote on this just because I'm kind of a guest here, but just a few personal thoughts on it. I cannot see. $500 is a nominal sum of money, all things considered, but I could not see you getting any sort of return on investment from a City Pulse ad right now. It's predominantly outside of East Lansing. Their whole market has almost been completely gutted the last few years. I mean, if ads were free in the City Pulse, I don't think I would run a Retroduct one at this point. And that's also congruent with just that they're also a very controversial newspaper right now. I don't know what you guys have heard or read, but like the BLM movement hates them right now. They got a lot of flack for running a cover story with somebody that's considered a sexual predator in this area. That was 3 weeks ago. I want to support the City Pulse because I think Bill Schwartz is a really smart guy. I know I want to appreciate a paper that's driven by the LGBTQ community, but I just thought there should be at least some notice that it's considered a little bit of a toxic paper at the moment. And also just on top of that, $500, if you reinvested $500 just into an Instagram post, a single Instagram post, you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. You're going to probably see at least 200 to 300% more viewers of it. And you're actually going to know that because Instagram's going to tell you that. You can target it hyper specific to a 5 mile radius around here, the exact age and specification that you want. But those are just my opinions. Like I said, I don't think I should be voting on this because this is not my board. But
thanks for your opinion, Luke.
Adam, you look muted, sir.
Yeah, I was raising my hand. I'm sorry. I was just going to ask clarification on the voting. This is my first time being on this call, and just trying to understand what the dynamics here. I know Kristen and Luke are.
Yeah, so Kristen and Luke are technically guests. Megan and Audrey are full-fledged committee members that have been attending for a while. So I think it's really, frankly, I think it's kind of people's comfort levels. But what I would do is I would report back obviously to the board on who voted. Because it's a subcommittee though, Adam, generally speaking, we take the feedback of everybody that's in the meeting. Is historically how it's been, but anybody can recuse themselves from the vote. That's perfectly acceptable.
Well, Luke, this is Megan. You raised some really interesting points. I personally have a history with the City Pulse. I love it.
I wrote there.
Yeah, and the whole BLM thing makes me really sad. And I think that I know Burl pretty well, and I think it's kind of unwarranted for how that whole thing came about. But it how two sides just can't come together. I'm not blaming either side, but it does make me sad that there has been that falling out. I don't know about the sexual predator thing. I have to admit that's news to me. Now you've got me really curious, and I'll have to check into it. My head tells me that what you're saying makes a lot of sense. My heart tells me that it never hurts to advertise in City Pulse. I do think it's not a pay-to-play newspaper, but definitely the ad would be noticed by Burl, and I don't know, what impact that would have, but I think it would be very positive. So I'm really torn on it now that you've made those comments, I have to admit. I think the readership is still good, though. From what I hear, they're doing pretty well.
Okay.
And I don't have any of those statistics. They weren't provided to me, from, what I know is that or my understanding, unless it's changed, is that they print, X amount of thousand X of copies, and then they, obviously distribute them for free in various locations. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Audrey, what do you think?
I think, I'm glad Luke said something, because I think I've seen something about that, but kind of just scanned past it probably. But I think that's enough for me to say no. I get your point, maintaining a relationship, but that's not what we're doing in this committee. We're trying to support downtown businesses, and if it's not going to help our businesses, then I don't see a reason to do it. I don't know. If it doesn't really support what we believe, I don't think that we should pay to be in it.
I think after Luke brought that up, back to the social media thing, if we even took the $500 and had a contest and generated some actual real live photos of people coming down and taking selfies and posting them and tagging them, that would actually get people to the downtown. I don't know how we really successfully do that, but just thinking other ways of buying social proof of people going down and utilizing our businesses would be.
Is there a mural done? The new mural?
Mural in Valley Court, is that what you're asking me?
The one on MAC, or what, in the new build, Center City?
Yes.
Yes.
Could we do something around that?
Oh, are you saying like a selfie contest? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sky's the limit.
I've seen a couple posts, but nothing huge on it. So
like do a competition where people take selfies near the new piece of art or something, and they could win a gift card to downtown East Lansing or something. Is that what you're thinking? Mine like
sure. I don't know how we're gonna do that specifically, but
yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I would recommend putting that into the comprehensive package that we were discussing, so that like this comprehensive holistic marketing approach. I love the idea, and I think we should include it, but instead of having this initiative and then this initiative and this initiative, it should all be working together and be comprehensive. That's just my suggestion and input.
Yeah, I think
sure.
I understand that, Adam, but I think to some of the topics that we talked about earlier, overcoming some of the negativity that we saw from the summer, and just seeing a lot more of people being caught being good, or what did we say? Together we will, or
the Stay Safe Challenge.
Yeah, the Stay Safe Challenge.
Something like that. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, Michigan Retailers actually does run a hashtag contest like that every first weekend in October. We have our statewide shop local initiative, and we use a hashtag. We tell people to put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, make sure that it's a public post and not a private post. And then we just, you know, do a comprehensive search for all those hashtags. They're automatically entered into the contest, and somebody wins a $500 Visa gift card. So I don't know if City of East Lansing can keep that gift card oriented toward downtown stores. But you know, the participation in it is never as good as I expect it to be.
Really.
You know, statewide, you would think it would be hundreds, but we get about 80 to 100 participants. But still, I always console myself by thinking, yeah, but it did go out on social media, so all their followers saw it, you know, so hopefully it had some resonance in some towns, at least, that are particularly active in our shop local celebration.
Amy, we no longer have a gift card program, correct?
We do not. The DM
Have we? Sorry, have we ever reached out to MSU in any capacity? Is there any way that the DMB could ever just purchase like Sparty Cash cards? I mean, most restaurants in downtown East Lansing actually use it.
I don't
That's
think
gonna be just restaurants, so
What'd you say, Audrey?
that's gonna be just
Just
restaurants.
Yeah, and
So
that's always going to be your biggest draw into the downtown. But
And if, you know, I
Right.
did during COVID.
and would you actually want a person walking into your store with a $500 gift card?
sure. I mean, no, you know, probably not.
Yeah.
But I guess I just want to put that out there.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a
But
valid
you
point.
still get to accept it as a point of sale, right, Audrey? I mean, it's still, you still
Yeah,
get
just with the normal probably 2% fees or something
like the
like
2%
that.
or whatever it is, 5.5% or whatever it might
Yeah,
be.
yeah, which would be high, but yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, again, just to circle back to what we were saying, like even if I could be entirely mistaken about everything that I said that I've heard about the City Pulse.
No, you aren't.
But if we're not all positive about that, and we're not all positive about the actual readership or what sort of ROI you could get on a $500 ad, I don't think I would ever buy an ad without knowing those numbers personally. You know, I wouldn't just buy.
And the only
an
way
ad,
you'd know the numbers is if you did a coupon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like a targeted ad,
Right.
call to action that's gonna bring people specifically. I mean, I know that the downtown has done parking that way before.
Yes.
Have they not? Okay.
We have, yes. Before the new system, we did it quite a bit during the.
Right. Yeah. That's probably not possible anymore, huh?
Well, I don't want to say no. You never say no, Luke. But I think that what we had boiled down to before was that a code was going to be easiest to like give people a code. Like we can still give vouchers, right? We can still do that. But the issue is, right, for like the meters and stuff outside of Audrey's business. How is that like? How do we make it easier? And so what we did do last year during Green Friday was I gave Mike at Crunchies a code to use, and so he, he would give that to his customers. It gets dicey and tricky because you're supposed to have the code at the beginning and not the end, right? It's a lot easier to give validations for people that come in and then spend money and then give them the tickets. We're playing with it. Now, apparently, stick with me, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. At the Passport app, that does have more capabilities. So, you know, maybe we can get back to thinking creatively about that. Not everybody likes apps, but my understanding is that the Passport app, we could literally just give free time with the meters.
Audrey, what's been your experience? I know that you have a long history with,
a long history with this app. It's not really, I mean, what you can do is you can generate like coupons kind of, or like a, validation, but it has to be done beforehand, and then like you have to generate this random code every time, so you've got to give them. So basically, the person really has to come into the store with your cell phone in their hand, and while you give them a validation code, and it just doesn't work like that. Like people, pull out the cell phone, they do it right in front of their car, and then they press send, and they go where they're going to go because everybody forgets, the spot anyways. Or in my case, I just have people tell me what their spot number is, and I just pay for it because it's just a pain to try to figure out how to get a random code to someone before, Pace comes and tickets them, because, there's been plenty of times where someone doesn't even get into my doors and they park, a couple feet down the way and they've already got a ticket on their car. So it's not an easy process, and I kind of wish we would have, I don't know, maybe pick something a little bit more user friendly. I don't see the app changing. It hasn't in the last 3 years. So
Yeah, and I can ask you about that.
It's kind of, I would say I would just kind of stop trying to invest energy into it, honestly. It's just every time we do, we just end up at the exact same, oh, well, you can kind of do this, but.
Capabilities, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't mind just asking Caleb, and I can circle back during the next board meeting about it. And to your, yeah, Luke, so to your question, no, we went to the DMV last year again with another gift card program, and it was suggested that it was not a good investment at the time. So maybe they'll feel differently now that we've had COVID. I actually did meet with a company during COVID, and kind of, it's a different setup system, so it seemed more affordable in my opinion. But yeah, that's where we were. That's where we were the last time we talked about it. So. But maybe this
can we do a survey of businesses to see what kind of POS systems they have? I feel like a lot of people kind of have the same
point of sale system.
I don't know what. Yeah, I just see the little white box that we have everywhere. I don't know if there'd be. I'm sure there's lots of other systems out there, but I'm curious to know, how many people, if a large majority of them, would have something that's compatible, because there's a gift card system through that.
Right, because gift cards sometimes come with their own hardware, is what I have found. Right, it's supposed to link to your point of sale, but usually it requires some sort of separate hardware. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
So Audrey,
yeah.
we did a quick survey and kind of made it an open-ended question, right? Like a box that said what point of sale system do you guys currently have? Maybe try to work back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that.
I mean, I'm sure, there's probably a super, super slim chance that, there'll be enough people that have something.
Never hurts to ask.
Like that.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, so I think I'm hearing that we're going to step away from City Pulse ad, which is perfectly fine, and we will maybe get back to more of this gift card concept and incorporate maybe a selfie contents into our campaign. Does that?
I love Audrey's idea of the mural,
Yeah.
It'll draw people to it. A lot of people maybe haven't seen it yet. Heck, I'm on the Arts Commission and I have not seen it since it's been finished.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of getting people over there to look at it and, again, reinforce that downtown East Lansing is really into public art. It's a cool thing.
Well, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm just spitballing, Megan, but I'm just sitting here thinking, why not pick a couple places, right? Let's pick 3 or 4 of the public art pieces and say, snap a selfie here, keep it public, be entered into a giveaway cards or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the cool Dane Porter sculpture at Valley Court, although there's not many stores around there actually. But Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Do you think that's something the Arts Commission needs to know about? Like, would you just recommend that we send it?
I'll definitely make sure they know about
Okay,
it.
I just don't want to like tick them off. I feel like
Thank you
they're
for
out of the
that.
loop. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like,
no, I hear
what's
you.
it about
But
this?
I think they'll be thrilled, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I actually like that idea. Because we've talked about this like comprehensive walk concept, so that might be a good one. Okay, guys, so I know we're running a little bit short on time, but I did want, if you guys can hang with me for about another 10 minutes, I wanted to talk about the Great Pumpkin before we convene tonight or today. I guess it's still day, it's not night yet. But okay, so I think that we all know the Great Pumpkin Walk has been historically one of the Downtown Management Board's most heavily attended events. Last year, I think we got close to 5,000 people downtown. And I don't know how familiar folks are, I think many of you are, but historically, it has been a trick-or-treating event where we pick an evening. Last year, we actually picked a Sunday afternoon because we wanted to see what that would be like for families, and it worked really, really well. But we historically like picked a time period and people trick-or-treat for 2 hours. Business owners select their involvement. A lot of them get dressed up in costume and they hand out the candy, right? So on the current calendar of events, this was supposed to happen October 25th. Obviously, with COVID, I think as staff, we have some concerns about the thought of drawing people downtown for a big event like that, right? So something that we had kind of brainstormed was, what if we just maybe made it more of like a passport type event and opened it up for like a 1 or 2 week window? And so in other words, we get the businesses to commit and say, yes, I'm willing to give out candy, but like during my normal business hours. And still like mom and dad and kids could come down and maybe get like a stamp, like maybe the DMV like gets a little jack-o'-lantern stamp. And then they would sign the, you know, stamp the passports and then, sorry, my light goes off if I don't move. And then they could, I'm not like going home, I swear. But then they could be entered into like a giveaway, right? And maybe we make it fair. Maybe all businesses that participate, like we, the city of East Lansing, if they have gift cards or something or gift certificates, we buy a $10 gift certificate to the business or a $15 gift certificate, right? And so it's active because we're hoping that, I think in my mind, it's hopefully facilitating a couple of needs, right? It's bringing people down here, but perhaps a little more safely. And it's a possibility for people to come back, use those gift cards, use those gift certificates. Plus, it has the added benefit of maybe putting some money in the business's pocket, even if it's not a lot of money. We had $3,000 budgeted for this year, but I really recognize, guys, that with COVID going on, there are pros and cons and risks, and public health remains our first priority. So I just kind of wanted some initial feedback on what we thought, because obviously if we're going to do something, I think dialoguing and presenting it to the board next month is going to be the best approach. Otherwise, I think we're just going to have to say, you know what, we're past, because we were gonna have to market it and get materials together. So I guess I'm gonna open this up. What are people's thoughts about this kind of concept or concerns?
My opinion is, or I guess my worry mostly is, you know, one person getting sick and then hitting 50 businesses and then infecting, you know, all of those employees along the way. I don't think I would participate. If that's the only thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't feel comfortable participating in it.
Does anybody have any other thoughts? Because I think that's a certainly valid point, Audrey.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I would venture to guess that Halloween is probably canceled as a whole this year.
Yeah, I don't have any insight. I tried to look something up and I can't imagine. All I've tried to think about is my personal neighborhood, right? And there's some kids, but I just moved in. I'm trying to think that like if people do Halloween, maybe, you know, maybe they put out, I'm almost envisioning like TV trays, right? And like candy out at the end of their driveways and people might trick or treat. But I think that's going to kind of be like a parental decision and like a neighborhood position, you know, like I just don't know. I can't imagine where it's going to be like a free for all for Halloween this year. So.
Well, what about,
It's just,
oh, go ahead.
I just feel like we're kind of like businesses are a little bit different, right? If someone gets sick at home, they get sick at home, you do contract tracing, whatever. But like if someone gets sick at a business, that business has to close.
Mhm.
Like it's really serious. Like if some kid comes in and gets one of my employees sick, I lose out on business for 2 weeks. That's a really big deal. And
Yeah.
I don't think very many people are going to be, and like there is some amount of risk with people coming in every day, but it's not children. I mean, children are just better carriers of this. I don't know what their, play dates and I don't know if any schools are going back, but it's just, I don't know. It just scares me. I don't think that's good.
I have a hard time asking businesses to do anything right now. I mean, put out this. Like, no, like I think it's our turn to put out this, like purchase something or do something, or I don't know. I don't have that fear that Audrey has, but I have a hard time asking business owners to give giveaways right now.
Like buy the candy. Is that what you're saying, Kristen? Yeah.
Nominal thing, but
Yeah.
What about, again, another social media contest where, show your kid in their Halloween costume, and
Yeah.
anybody who does that in some format, I don't know how you do it, would get, again, some sort of certificate to downtown businesses,
Yeah.
or
Entered into giveaways, gift certificates or something, and then it's guaranteed money.
I do want to say that the candy, Kristen, you're absolutely right. That's not a nominal thing. I mean, people will spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this candy for down here. I don't know, wasn't the peanut bureau had to store candy in one of their neighbors' locations last year because he just buys thousands and thousands of pieces of candy. I mean, it's a huge spend. It's not nominal. I don't.
Yeah. And I think the other question I had was, because I know it is, I mean, I think that we always tell businesses to assume 1,500 pieces of candy. And I think that you guys usually come back and say, yeah, we gave away all 1,500, or all 1,750. And I think the question of return on investment is a good one. I think it's well taken. And even if we bought the candy, we feel like that's a good bang for our buck, right? I don't know. If we said we're going to spend $5,000 on candy, do we really think that that's going to have a lasting impact versus I think this concept of, let's do a selfie contest and let's call it the Great Pumpkin Walk, whatever, costume contest. And, at least buy some gift cards or do something so that that's money for the businesses in hand. So that might be a really good alternative to the board. Okay. Anybody else have anything or any other ideas really? Because this was just something that was hatched by staff earlier this week. So we were just trying to think of some creative outreach.
I just feel so sorry for the little kids who get so excited about Halloween. And
I know.
Yeah. What do they got?
I know. My 3-year-old keeps telling me she wants to be a frog this year, so I gotta find a girl frog costume. And if worse comes to worse, we're gonna go trick or treat at Papa and Grandma's house. So
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna do, folks.
They better be ready with 1,500 pieces of candy.
Oh my Lord, not in my house. Thank you. Okay. All right, so that's really what's on the agenda. I don't know if there's anything else for the good of the order, but I really, really appreciate everybody's time and feedback on this. I know it's a lot to digest, a lot to take in.
No, I'm really glad we are meeting again.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I know it's a little more, well, maybe it's easier for you guys with Zoom. I don't know. It's a little more set up for us, but we're happy to do it because I think it's just really important stuff to think about. And obviously, with other community events, we will keep everybody updated. I know that, there's been a lot of discussion about Winter Glow and holiday events. And I just think we're going to have to, I'll keep you updated as I learn more to see what that might shape up to look like. So.
And by the way, we do have it was crafted by a lawyer, a set of rules for our social media contest when we do it, so I can share those with you if
That
you
would be
want 'em.
great, Megan. If you could send those to me, that would be
Sure.
fantastic. And I know like our experience, the last social media contest I did was last summer for construction. So not this past summer, but it was like East Lansing Buzz. And exactly what you said, what we were finding was we think a lot more people posted. They just weren't moving to that public setting. You know,
Yeah,
you have to
exactly.
wonder how many more, right, really did it, but just didn't. And I don't know how to like drum that in. Maybe it's just, you know, maybe we boost posts about it and say like, don't forget.
Right, and we actually had handout cards at the stores.
Did
And
you?
asked the store owners to say, hey, you might want to enter this contest.
Yeah, that's a
Here's
great
a
idea.
card, so they didn't have to explain the whole
Like a
thing.
wallet card. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, all. Well, thank you very, very much. You guys all know how to get a hold of me, so call, email, anything like that. I will personally start working more on survey stuff next week, and keep everybody updated. And just so you know, I am doing internship interviews today. So we had our two prior DMV interns graduate. So I'm hoping to have some new blood in here very, very soon that can start working with us on initiatives. So that'll be good. So, all right.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Great. Good seeing
have a good
everybody.
evening.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye all.